Hello, my name is Austin Atwell, and this is my presentation on healthcare policy and law. So, why is policymaking needed? Policymaking has many roles in the current healthcare system. We're just going to talk about two of them today. There's many roles that policymaking has inside of the healthcare system. Two of the most important roles are better healthcare outcomes. We really want our patients to have the best health outcomes, and the correct policies can really help with that. Also, creating rules and regulations for healthcare professionals is also very important. You don't want your doctor doing whatever they want during your surgery because there's no policy that tells them what they need to do, pretty much. Policy making can also be used to address the problems with current laws and policies. So you can make a new policy to fix an older policy that might have some bad regulations inside of it. Overall policy is used to make the medical process safe, smooth, and effective for patients and practitioners. It's important to have policies to help our patients as well as have policies to protect practitioners from things that could go wrong. So the role of policy and law in today's society, we already talked about it a little bit. Better health outcomes nationwide, that's what we're going for. We really want our patients to be healthy, happy, and we want those health outcomes to be better and better every single year. We also want to create new rules and regulations for healthcare practitioners as new as new studies come out. We want to have those rules and regulations in place, especially for things like telehealth, which is not new, but it's more prevalent because of COVID-19, and it's important to have new rules and regulations for things like that. So, better health outcomes. Policy and law are intended to create better health outcomes for patients within the United States, other countries too, but we're just talking about the United States right now. Health impact assessments are a tool that can be used to find the consequences to public health that a policy or law may have. So you would run a health impact assessment, and you'd look at a policy or a law that's going to pretty much just a policy, because if it's become a law, hopefully it's already had a health impact assessment. But it's a tool used to find what are the consequences of this new policy. Is it going to harm any minority groups? Is it going to harm any group of people? New information on health outcomes come out daily, but policy and law are not always built around them. It's hard to keep up with all this new information that comes out. So that's why we need to try to work on getting our policy in line with this new information. According to the National Research Council Committee on Health, health impact assessment, it is important to assess the consequences of policy and law on health outcomes. And this comes with every piece of new information, and it's just hard. And this happens for a few reasons why it's so hard to get all that information together and turn it into a policy. Reasons policy and law are unable to keep up with new information: the lack of laws or funding to create an informed policy or law. So there might not be any laws or mandates that tell us, okay, we have to figure this out. It has to be done. So if there's nothing that makes us create a new informed policy or law, then we don't have to work as hard, or the people who make the policies and laws, they don't have to work as hard to change it every time this new information comes out. There could also be a lack of funding. The funding is, if there's no money, nothing's ever going to get done. That's just how the world works. So if there's no funding to create the new law when this new information comes out, it's hard. Just think about vaping. It took a long time for Colorado to change the laws on vaping, even though they had the information that was harmful, especially to the younger adults that were using them in high school and things like that. The thought that certain health outcomes are the patient's fault and that they must change instead of the law. So this is things like diabetes, where a patient is, they're overweight and they're struggling with their diabetes and they're eating wrong. Those are some stereotypical thoughts that I just threw out right there, where instead of that, we should be thinking of what new policies and what new laws can we make that can help people with diabetes to overcome, especially with how expensive their medicine is. So those are new policies and laws that could come out to help them afford the medicine that can help them survive, because no matter what got them there, they're there now and they need our help. The way that the government is structured leads to different opinions at the city, state, and federal levels. So this is also a hard thing where policy and law are unable to keep up with the new information, because each level has their own policy or law as they go through it. And it's just hard to get everyone to come together, especially when it's something big like the Affordable Care Act. That's why it's hard for a lot of states to catch up and go along with it, and Medicaid expansion, because everyone's not together. They all work on different levels, and it's really hard to get all of those levels together and agree on the same thing. So, creating rules and regulations for healthcare practitioners. As our thing, policy and law prevent practitioners from taking advantage of patients, especially when it comes to insurance or prices that they're charging patients for care. Those are really big things to help patients avoid that, because patients don't know how much something would cost. They could charge whatever they want, but we've got those policies and laws and stuff like that to help the patients know what they're coming into. It also stops practitioners from giving them incorrect treatment for no reason. And there's plenty of other things that the policies and laws prevent to help the patients. The same rules and regulations also protect the practitioners. Practitioners have insurance just in case they do something that may harm a patient, or if a patient decides to attempt fraud or abuse of the system, it protects those practitioners from any of those kind of things. So we definitely, you can't look at policy and law on just one side. You have to look at it on both sides, on the business side and on the patient side, and see where those laws and policies help each side. It also makes new treatment methods safe and usable. Like I was talking about earlier, according to Sunny Levine from AmericanHealthLaw.org, telehealth has caused lawmakers to make quick regulation changes to make sure that Americans would be able to use the booming new service. And so they actually had to lessen some of the regulations because of how open telehealth is. But it's just such a good service, and it got so many Americans to actually talk to a doctor that lawmakers said, we need to get these people into the doctor. So let's lower these regulations and let's help them out with this. This is good for them. So, problems with law and policy. So let's talk about problems with Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, or some law and policy that are very big right now, very big in America. While the Affordable Care Act, ACA, and Medicaid did increase the number of insured patients, the states have not accepted the new policy. The states that have not accepted the new policy are still disparaged. Especially people of color are the major percentage of uninsured people in states without Medicaid expansion, which people with color have been definitely disparaged for a long time when it comes to insurance, and that's something that in the U.S. we need to figure out. Especially people of Hispanic descent are actually very disparaged when it comes to having healthcare insurance. So the success of the ACA and Medicaid expansion is relying upon future policy that can help promote the importance of health insurance to these people and help them actually be able to afford the healthcare insurance. If you can make as many policies and laws and as many new Affordable Care Acts or Medicaid expansions as you want, but if no one can afford it, then it's worthless in the end. So we need to figure out what we can do with the Affordable Care Act and the Medicaid expansion to help people that are unable to afford insurance, because everyone should have health care insurance. And then my biblical perspective on this topic is Luke 16:17, but it is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one dot of the law to become void. And what that is it's impossible to change laws that God has given us. He's given us his laws, and we must follow them or else we have sinned. But it is possible to change policy and law in our American government to make them follow God's law. while it's also possible to make our laws to not follow God's law, as Christians, it's important to follow God's law and help others follow the law whenever possible. So if we can just, anytime that we think of policy and law, if we can just bring that into our mind, that God has laws and it's important to follow them and not go against them with the laws that we try to make in our own lives, it can really help change people's lives and change the United States for the better. So why is policymaking needed? That's what we started out with. Policies help patients receive insurance, proper care, and protect them from fraud or abuse. Policies also help practitioners protect themselves, increase patient outcomes, and create standard practices. Policy has a hard time keeping up with current medical information, so policymaking that matches current studies is important. This helps create effective policies that no matter what's going on, if we can create these effective policies, we can keep up to date on the information that we have now. Effective policies need to be made so that the policy has an increased chance of becoming a law. Because if you have an ineffective policy and you have no one's going to agree on it. They're going to say this isn't going to work. So we need those effective policies that are up to date to help not only the patients but also the healthcare practitioners to create the best healthcare system that we can. These are my sources: the AHLA, the top 10 issues in health law 2021. That's AmericanHealthLaw.org. And then I've also got the National Research Council Committee on Health Impact Assessment, Improving Health in the United States. And that's it. So I hope everyone has a great night, and thank you.